In case you were wondering where my cohort is, my normal Wednesday partner, and that's Sean, and he will not be with us tonight. He had some family stuff to tend to, so we wish Sean good luck with all his family stuff, and hope everything's good to go, and hopefully he continues to enjoy his time with his family. Wow, on Christmas holiday. But we're gonna wait for some viewers to get in here also before we really get started and hit things off. But we definitely have enjoyed these Wednesday shows. They've been awesome, and things have been really great with the Wednesday shows. Everything's been pretty cool. Everybody's been really attentive and good questions and good comments, so we really appreciate that. But again, we'll wait for some more viewers to get in here, and then we'll really start talking some Steelers. I want everybody to put in the comments your questions, concerns, all that. Hey, what's up, JD? I'm flying solo tonight, but hello. Sean's not with us tonight. He's doing some family stuff. But again, we'll wait for a couple more people to start jumping in as we get started on this Steelers talk, as this Pittsburgh Steelers team goes in to Seattle with a real chance, man. Another chance for them to capitalize and get things going yet again and claw back into this playoff race. Yeah, they need some help, but they're there, and that's all that matters. And the NFL is so topsy-turvy, man. It changes week to week, and to just have a chance, that's all you can ask for. This team had a bad stretch here, man. They had bad times with bad quarterback play from Mitchell Trubisky. I think Tomlin should have maybe went to Mason Rudolph a little bit earlier, but I guess that's neither here nor there. We got a comment already. JD said hello. What's up, JD? Nova Racer already said, was great to hear the linemen saying Mason made them look good. Yeah, I want to talk about that in depth a little bit. And this team seems to really want to play for Mason Rudolph, and that's no bullshit. You heard those media sessions today. All the clips are out there on YouTube. You can go look them up, go see what what the players had to say today. And especially from that offensive line grouping, guys really saying, hey, Mason Rudolph gave us confidence. Mason Rudolph brought that cohesive nature back to that offense, and that helps that offensive line play. When they know what the quarterback is going to do, when they know he's going to stand in there, they know he's not going to break down and hit the check down right away. They know he's not going to go happy feet on them and scramble out to where their job's a lot harder, and it makes them look bad sometimes. But Mason Rudolph was great in the pocket, guys, and nobody can doubt that. Nobody can say anything different. The guy really was positive and had a lot of good throws, kept ahead of the chains. Oh, excuse me, my dryer went off in the background. But anyway, he kept the team ahead of the chains and really did good things, and nobody can really say anything different. And let's talk about that. Mason Rudolph, what he did for that offensive line and what he did for that wide receiver core, was big. Knowing that he's not going to hit that check down early gives those wide receivers confidence, and hopefully it makes them want to play a little bit better and use that energy and actually run their routes actually run their routes and act like they want to be there, not act like they're just being so lackadaisical that they don't really care. You saw Mason check out of plays, get into check out of run plays, break tendencies, and that's what made this offense go. It really did. Let's get back to some more comments. Nova Racer, even DJ, who didn't have his best game, said it was nice to finally have a QB that stood in the pocket. Yeah, that's it, man. That's what I was saying, and that's what we talked about on today's show earlier today. If you've seen it, we talked about that. Mason Rudolph giving his receivers a chance, guys, and that's huge, man. Really huge, and I don't know what else to really say about it. And you saw Kenny's comments today. Let's talk about that. Kenny Pickett was in front of the media for the first time this week, and didn't seem like he was really too thrilled. I seen some other shows talking about how a reporter from Erie, Pennsylvania, was in there talking about, or asked Kenny, rather, what he learned while standing on the sideline. And Kenny said, or if he learned anything at all, and Kenny simply said no. And I'm not sure what people want him to say. What do you want him to say? Yeah, Mason lit it up, and my job's probably in jeopardy. Mason played good. I don't think it's the end of Kenny Pickett, guys. I really don't. I don't think the Steelers are going to stick with Mason Rudolph long term. I mean, they may shock me, and they may stick with him. I hope that he does well. I hope that he does good. It's hard to find a franchise quarterback. It's hard to find a quarterback that's consistent. So I hope that I hope that he can find that magic and continue to build and gain steam, man. I really, really hope so. JD, do you think during the 3-game slide, this is what other players wanted? You know, JD, I've been thinking about that often, actually, and I've been thinking about that the last few days, especially since Mason had that performance. And it makes you really wonder if that's what was going on. If Tomlin maybe stuck with Mitchell Trubisky far too long. If the offensive guys had already seen enough of Mitch prior to those couple games to where they slid. Maybe that offense wanted that fresh face and wanted a veteran guy like Mason Rudolph to step in there. Maybe that's what they were seeing things in practice that we weren't seeing when Mason was playing against the Steelers' first team defense on scout team. Maybe they were seeing things from Mason that excited them and they wanted him in there. And I think that may be part of it. I really do. I think that the team was really fed up with Mitchell Trubisky's play, his indecisive nature, the way he forces the football into places he shouldn't, the bad decisions, the happy feet, breaking out of the pocket too early, checking it down too early. Those types of things they've been dealing with Kenny and Mitch. And I think they were just sick of it. And I think they wanted somebody that was going to stand in the pocket and throw the football and give them a chance to make plays. And that's what you need in the NFL is a quarterback that gives these guys, these playmakers, a chance to make plays. And I think that that's the most important part. Back to the comments. Nova Racer says he looked a little sad. He did, man. Kenny was yeah, he looked a little bummed, and I can't blame him, guys. Would you blame him? I wouldn't be in there talking about, hey, man, I'm cool with this guy taking my job. And maybe that shows a little fire in Kenny. Maybe that shows that he's going to, or maybe that will push him to work a little bit harder and get better. And maybe watching Mason stand in that pocket, have an example right in front of your face that says, hey, stand in the pocket a little bit, deliver the football. But Kenny, hey, he's been injury prone. He's not been able to stay on the field consistently. When he does start to get moving, it seems like an injury hinders him. So it's tough. If you can't stay on the field, you can't become consistent. You can't become an NFL franchise quarterback, and that's just the facts of it all, man. And that's just the way it goes. And Mason Rudolph, we'll see. He earned his way into another start, if you ask me. And Mike Tomlin named him the starter at the beginning of the week, but left the door open for Kenny Pickett yet again. What do you guys think about that? Do you think he should even leave the door open for Kenny Pickett? Is there even a reason to have any type of controversy or any type of dilemma? We all know how Tomlin is. Tomlin always, he never wants a guy to lose their job on account of injury. And sometimes that might bite you in the ass. And maybe that's a good thing. We don't know. We're not NFL coaches. We're not NFL players. I mean, I don't want to see a guy ever lose their job in any place or, any way. Not in football, not in the real world, nothing. I don't want to see people lose their job. But Kenny Pickett's got to realize this is a performance-based business, and if you don't perform and you don't give the franchise the results they're looking for, you're on your way out, man. And next time anything slightly better comes along, you're on your way out the door. And Mason Rudolph may be that guy. He may have progressed enough. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Mason Rudolph learned enough lessons while sitting and watching? Do you think that he has now made that leap that everybody talks about, that step, that jump up, that people talk about that is supposed to happen in year 2, 3? Did Mason just finally hit that stretch? I mean, it's hard to say. Nova Racer, at this point, Tomlin would have a mutiny if he parked Mason. I think you're right. I really do think you're right. And I think that if Tomlin were to sit Mason Rudolph right now, I think that it would really destroy this football team in terms of confidence. How I think he should handle it, and I'm not sure what you guys think as fans of the franchise, like myself. Uh, I think that Tomlin should dress Kenny Pickett if he's healthy, but he should be the number two. I think that he should be the guy waiting in his wings, waiting to earn that next chance, waiting for his next chance to come up. And I think that that's how Mike Tomlin should handle it. Ride with the hot hand. That's what you have to do in the NFL, in my opinion, at any level of sport. I think when you have a guy that's hot and he's producing, you ride him, man, and you see where it takes you. Now, if Mason flounders and gets him, in a bad spot, do you put Kenny in quickly, or do you let it go for a while and just take the loss with oh, there's my dog, guys. Sorry, my dog came in for a visit. But do you let do you let Mason stumble for a while? Do you let it go? How long do you let it go on? How short is Mason Rudolph's leash? That's the question, if you ask me. Back to the comments. AK Davis, if Mason plays great this week and again against the Ravens, it will be hard for the Steelers not to extend a new contract to him for a quarterback competition. I agree, AK. Good comment, buddy. I agree. If Mason plays well here, guys, and he rides this season out, and by chance they get in the playoffs by getting some help, winning these last 3 games, and does something special, wins a playoff game or two. If you're the Steelers, you want to bring him back. You want that competition. And if you're the Steelers and you're me, if I'm the Steelers organization or the Steelers brass, I want to see Mason continue that and see how he would start next year. See if he continues to build on that and continues to grow as a quarterback, and see, yes, he's 28 years old. He's been in the league. This is his 6th year. Been inside that Steelers facility for that long. But hey, 28, in the way things are going nowadays, with the way people can play longer, I'm thinking it's not that bad of a deal, man. I think that if Mason proves himself to be decent and gets himself going, man, ride it. Pay the guy. If he's going to produce, pay him. He has a big arm. I mean, it's just, he has a big arm. What can you do? And I like the competition, and that may drive Kenny Pickett into a different stratosphere and help him out and help him build and grow and have another guy waiting in the wings. I mean, hopefully, that's best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Roberta Campbell, what's up, Roberta? I think Mason deserves another opportunity, but on the other side, Kenny should be as a backup and just let him continue to heal completely. But if unfortunately Mason has injury, then Kenny can't. That's exactly it, Roberta. That's exactly what I'm saying here too. I think that we're all on the same page with that. I think that it's now Mason's job to lose. Mason Rudolph now dictates how this quarterback controversy or competition goes and moving forward. He now dictates the pace of this by his play, by his leadership, by his ability to keep pushing this football team toward a winning atmosphere, toward wins in the win column, and getting them toward that playoff push. He's in the driver's seat right now. The guys are with him on that offense. You can tell that they're really excited to play for him. The offensive line did play better. Hopefully, maybe that's a sign of good things to come. I still think they need to make some adjustments on that offensive line in terms of James Daniels going to center, drafting another tackle. There's a lot of things that we can talk about once the offseason hits, but this Steelers team definitely has some holes in that offensive line that I think they need to fix. I think they're close, actually. I do, with a good cornerstone foundational piece in the drafting of Broderick Jones here in the 2023 season. I think bringing him in was your cornerstone foundational franchise left tackle eventually, and I think that was an awesome start. I think bringing Isaac Seumalo in was a good thing. James Daniels a good player. I think now, though, you've got to find a couple players. You need to get that center position back to where it was. The Dermonte Dawsons, the Mike Websters, all those guys, the Marquise Pounceys of recent history. You got to get those guys, that type of guy inside that building yet again to build this offensive line back to being a dominant unit. I mean, it's just what it. But they do have a good start, guys, in my opinion. Anyway, back to the comments again. Nova Racer. I think Tomlin would have before he had the keys to Mason. Would leave before he'd hand the keys to Mason. He may, man. I don't know. I don't know. I hear a lot of people saying that Tomlin dislikes Mason Rudolph, and I don't know how true that is. I'm gonna try to see if I can figure it out a little bit. Kind of keep my ear to the ground here and listen and see. But I don't know if that's the case. I really don't. It's one of those things. It's like I don't know. I really don't know. Unless you're in that building, I don't know how you really truly know. Kevin Lynch, is Geno Smith playing for the Seahawks this week? I believe so. I think Geno Smith is active and ready to go. I believe he played last week. So Geno Smith, guys, that kid is that man is a quality quarterback, a quality NFL quarterback. We've seen him before. We saw him in the preseason. Not so long ago and versus our Steelers. I think Geno Smith is a guy that can win some ball games in this league, and he's proven it. So he can really do some special things. And Geno Smith is no slouch. And this Steelers defense is going to have to really be on their A game when you're dealing with guys like Lockett, Metcalf. They dress three good tight ends. I think Geno Smith has weapons at his disposal. In a beat up Steelers defense, they're gonna have to really do some special things and keep them bottled up. And hopefully, we get another stellar performance from that offensive unit because I think you're gonna need to put up a little bit of points here. I don't think you're gonna be able to win a game. 17-10 or anything crazy like that. You're gonna have to score 24 points or better in Seattle, if you ask me, to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think that the defense being on the road might have a little bit of trouble, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think you're going to have to score at least 24 plus points to win in Seattle against those Seahawks. Let's keep going here. Never Racer, there are some big name O linemen on the team that Kenny and Mitch made them look bad because they never stayed in the pocket. I agree. That is a problem for those guys. They're happy feet. And Mason Rudolph had those happy feet when he first came into the league. I don't think he was quite as bad because he doesn't have that gift of being able to run the football as easily as Kenny and Mitch can. Their athleticism, I think, is a little bit better. And I think that's what draws Mike Tomlin when we talked about Mike Tomlin maybe not liking or not liking Mason Rudolph. Maybe that's more the case, that Mike Tomlin is drawn to a more athletic guy, a guy that can get out and run the football and add that dynamic to the offense. Maybe that's where Mike Tomlin frowns on Mason Rudolph. But you saw the tough and gritty nature of Mason Rudolph running for that first down in a spot to where they needed it. They needed to move the chains, and Mason Rudolph had enough ability to be able to be tough enough to gain that first down. And that wasn't no easy thing to do. He had to move in and out of the pocket and slide up properly and avoid pass rushers and really lay his head down, took a helicopter type spin and got in there and got that first down and moved the chains and keep that drive moving. Instead of the Steelers going for 3 points, they capitalized there. And that's big, if you ask me, with a great run by Calvin Austin there. Great blocking by Jaylen Warren, who laid his guy on their ass. I know we've been living in the past here with this Bengals game, but it was the most exciting game we've seen in a couple years. The Steelers putting up that many points, having that decisive of a win, controlling a football game. I know today will probably be the real last day that we hammer that down with the live show here, but we're going to be moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, and I hope in that building they can flush that game out. I don't want them to forget it, but flush it and move on to the next game. Next Roberta Campbell, with next season, a lot's going to depend on what the Rooneys decide about Tomlin. If the Steelers get a new head coach, don't know who will be quarterback, probably the draft. Yeah, Roberta, I think a lot of guys, when they come in, if you do by chance get a new head coach, I think a lot of guys want their guy. They want to pick their quarterback. They want to pick the guy that is going to lead the franchise and basically control their job. The outcome of football games controls whether they're employed or not. I know the Steelers are loyal. You don't have to worry about it as much if you become the Steelers head coach.
But I think that those guys, those types of guys, those big ego guys, that's what it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. They have to have their guy, and they have to trust in what they're going to do, and especially with what kind of offense you're going to run. Next, I saw Wilson got benched in Denver. Russell Wilson got benched. I didn't know that. I have to look into that. I haven't been paying much attention to them. Hold on, guys. My mic took a little bit of a shit. We'll see. But anyway, we'll just go with my headphones. So sorry if the audio isn't fantabulous, but the mic went out a little bit. But anyway, let's move on. Nova Racer. I hope they put Artie Burns on GP in Seattle. Yeah, I don't think Seattle would be very wise doing that. Yeah, I think GP would eat Artie Burns for lunch, man, and I don't think it would be a very positive outcome for for Artie Burns. All right, guys, let me get one more go here at fixing that. Sorry. There we go, and we are back. I hope it sounds a little bit better.
Our chance to get in the playoffs if we beat the Seahawks. Yeah, I do too, because I think you're going to have the Baltimore Ravens not playing for anything in week 18, and that's going to really help out the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we guys too, let's not forget that Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, that block punt, and how they beat the Baltimore Ravens. It wasn't pretty, but that was good on good, first on first, and they beat the Baltimore Ravens earlier in the season, and they're one of the very few teams that has been able to beat the Baltimore Ravens this year. So I'm not saying that I would really dislike our chances going into Baltimore if we in a must-win situation if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even if Kenny Pickett's at the helm, we've saw him beat the Ravens now twice late in the football game, and it's do some special things there at the end. Now, has he had good games throughout those two games, those two wins? Absolutely not. But he did come through in the fourth quarter. Artie and Devin Bush revenge game. Nova Racer says that they're coming in for a revenge game. I don't know if they're the quality of player that has the ability to change a football game. Maybe on an interception or something like that. Devin Bush really coming flying around, making some tackles. He was their third leading tackler on the team last weekend. Artie Burns is playing more in that nickel package, so I don't know if you're going to see him a ton. What's their big DB up in Seattle? Witherspoon or something like that, I think. I think he might be out again too. I'm not sure. But Artie Burns, you're going to see a lot of him in the nickel spot. So you're going to see him a lot on slot guys. And that's where I think the Steelers need to match up well and try to exploit that Artie Burns matchup with Devin Bush being that inside linebacker. You want to have that slot receiver really mixed up. Do some different things. Bring George Pickens into the slot. Bring Deontay Johnson into the slot. Have like Pat Freiermuth. Bring Jalen Warren down into the slot. Don't always have it as Allen Robinson. I think you need to mix it up and exploit some major mismatches if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers there. You know Devin Bush is a shorter guy. I think you can exploit some things there and really make some big strides and have some big splash plays, especially against Artie Burns, who has trouble covering sometimes. He has some trouble tackling at times. I think the Steelers, if they were wise, they would really try to make that slot receiver role something special for them this weekend. I really do think so. Roberta Campbell, the way the Steelers are so loyal with head coaches, does make a Steeler head coach opening a hot ticket. Yeah. The Steelers head coaching position is going to be the most sought after in the entire NFL. The only thing that doesn't make it one of the most sought after would be there is no franchise guy in place. There is no offensive coordinator in place. But then again, that might be appealing to somebody. I think it's just one of those things. Do you want to go for a storied franchise, and do you want to be a guy that's not going to have total control? Because let's face it, the Rooneys do control some of this stuff. They do put their footprint on it, maybe more silently than some owners do. But the the Rooney's footprint is definitely on it, and Art Rooney definitely controls a lot of what goes on in the city of Pittsburgh. And I don't want anybody to ever get that twisted, because it is a for sure thing, and no doubt about it. All right, guys, if you are new, subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, like and share the videos. I appreciate it, and keep putting your comments in there. Let me know what you guys think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seattle Seahawks matchup this week. Let's get some score predictions in there, guys. Throw some score predictions. What you think is going to happen. Going off of the information that Mason Rudolph is going to be at the helm for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll give my score prediction at the end of the show here. Or after you guys throw some in there. Sean usually does that with me, and we talk about keys to victory. But again, Sean's out tonight. He had some family things going on. He's spending some quality time with his grandfather and things of that nature in Phoenix. So we wish Sean the best, in case any of you are wondering where Sean is, my new normal partner on Wednesdays. So, let's get into some other things. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. And I want to know, we'll go to one more comment. Does anyone know what the Steelers' record at Seattle is in wins and losses? I couldn't tell you, Roberta. I have no clue on that. I don't know. The Steelers travel usually decent. Fans are usually decent, but Seattle is an electrifying place, man. That 12th man, they've created a damn earthquake in that place before. So, yeah, they're pretty damn loud, and I'm not sure what the Steelers' record is in Seattle. I would have to really do some research. Maybe somebody can Google it. A.K. Davis gives one of the first score predictions of the night. Pittsburgh 24, Seattle 17. I like that. That sounds pretty realistic, A.K. I like that. I think you are going to have to score 24 plus if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers to make this a victorious weekend. Another comment. Most good head coaches would want their own guys in. Rooney let Tomlin hire who he wants, and the fact that he only wants 9 coaches, which is the least in the NFL. I'm not sure how that whole dynamic works, Nova. I'm not sure. Tomlin, I know, has a more limited budget than some for coaching. They don't pay their assistant coaches as much as some other teams. I know that to be one fact. But Mike Tomlin likes things done the way he likes them done. He's a big ego guy, and he wants to control a lot in that building, and it shows. And maybe having the least amount of assistant coaches gives him the ability to have his footprint on everything. And maybe it's a good thing at times and a bad thing at times. I'm not really sure, but I know a new guy would want some control and want his own people in place for sure. JD gives his Steelers prediction score for this weekend. 24-9 Steelers. Oh, that's a big one. That's a large margin of victory. Another, I consider that a blowout win, if you ask me. That would be 2 back-to-back if JD's score comes to premonition here, and we see that score. Nova Racer, Pittsburgh 38, Seattle 24. Now I like those scores right there, those higher ones. I think a blowout could happen, JD. I really do. I think Mason Rudolph could stay hot. I really do. And we're going to talk about one more thing on the offense before we move to the defense. But I think Mason could stay hot, guys. I really, really do. And a blowout win isn't out of the realm of possibility. And if the Steelers go in there and strike early and stay on them and don't revert to being too conservative, I think that they could really do some damage, man. And I like the way this offense has been moving. Yes, they might pay them less, but when the head coaches are usually there for 10 years, plus job security is there, the attraction. I mean, I would be attracted to a job that I know I'd have the job security, Roberta, for sure. I know that's how I would think of anything, any job in any realm, in any category, in any workspace in the world. So, yeah, I think that does add to the luster, add to the appeal for sure. I want to talk about Deontay Johnson and his ability this week to maybe have a big game. We saw George Pickens' big game last weekend, 198 yards or 195 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Mason Rudolph connecting with him well, but maybe the Seahawks will try to emphasize their efforts onto George Pickens and open some things up. So let's talk about that a little bit also. Kevin Lynch, Pittsburgh 23, Seattle 20. That's a good one. That could be. I think it could be a nail biter too. I mean, it's going to be difficult to predict this game because both teams are fighting for their playoff lives, guys, and it's going to be tough to really pinpoint a score. We'll see what Vegas puts the line out officially right before the game. Nova Racer, if Mason stays hot, it will keep the D fired up in the game. Yeah, I do. I think the offense and the defense feed off of each other, and what we were talking about here with Deontay Johnson. You saw him throwing a fit at times, waving his hands up in the air, pissed off that he didn't get the ball. But he's got to understand, as we talked about in the show earlier, you're not always in that progression. You're not always part of the read for the quarterback. And these receivers have to understand that there is a job and that every route is designed to do something, to bring defenders into different paths and move people around and allow things to open up. And I think some of these receivers are so damn selfish. And this just isn't on the Steelers. They're so selfish that they can't see that big picture. They're unable to see that, hey, 1 week this guy has a big game. Next week I eat. Mix things up. I don't think they can see that. They can't get out of their own way at times. And I think that that's a real problem. But Deontay Johnson could have that big game this week. Mason has had a connection with him in the past. We could see big splash plays from him because the Seahawks maybe given too much effort towards George Pickens. What about a Calvin Austin, a guy that's a real speedster? Mason hit him in the preseason for some big plays. Maybe you see that come out. Maybe you see Pat Freiermuth get a ton of catches. There are so many weapons on this offense, and there were tons of weapons that weren't used in the beatdown win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's a positive thing, guys. That's big. That's good news. Real good news. Back to the comments. Roberta Campbell, if Mason does continue to play well, chances are this offseason maybe some teams will seek Mason out, which, didn't happen this past offseason. And that's where the Steelers get into a little bit of predicament with Mason Rudolph. If he does do well, do you want Kenny to be your future? Are you willing to pay Mason Rudolph what he would be commanding on the open market after a deep playoff run, or really putting up big numbers here in the last 3 games if the Steelers don't make it any farther than that? That will intrigue teams, and teams will maybe have a bidding war for Mason. Who knows? Everybody's always looking for that next hot quarterback, especially teams that have a hard time finding them. And that could be not good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nova Racer says DJ looked pretty happy that Mason was the guy today. Yeah, today he did, and they do have a connection, and they've had one in the past when Mason has played. They've been there basically the same amount of time, and but you could see the frustrations on the football field, and I think that's why you didn't see Deontay Johnson for like the last 4 minutes, I think, of that football game, 3-4 minutes of that game, I think, the last couple series anyway. You didn't really see him after that, in that time period, and I think it was more for him to cool down, and that was after that big miss. Mason missed DJ on a big what would have been a touchdown. But Mason said, hey, that was his fault, and I like that leadership, taking some accountability, not standing there just shaking his head like I've seen Kenny and Mitch both do, taking some accountability, saying to the receiver, hey, I should have threw a ball better, man. That was a shitty throw, didn't mean to put you in that spot. Nova Racer, Seattle will be focused on those outside guys after last week. It should open up Pat and Austin, especially if Austin is in the slot against Artie. Yeah, I like that matchup. Artie's a lot longer and a lot more lengthy than Austin, but the speed will kill, and that's a big thing. And we've seen Artie Burns have trouble with guys that have a good amount of speed, that are pretty quick. We've seen Artie have struggles here in the city of Pittsburgh with that type of receiver more than one time. And I can't think of examples off the top of my head, but I know that he's had some troubles with it for sure. A.K. Davis, with so many weapons, there are so many ways they can attack a defense. Exactly. And that's why this team has to start being more versatile. And that's where people will ride me a lot too. I say that Jaylen Warren is the guy that should be the starter. Najee has a role, But Jalen Warren needs to be the starter, being as versatile as you can be, taking whatever the defense is going to give you and having those weapons on the field. Take it, take whatever you can get, see where the open play is, and find it. And I think that was one of Mason's strong suits against the Bengals. That was him audibling out of plays, breaking tendencies, finding guys, changing things up. And that's what needs to be done if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. That has to be done. And that needs to be for any team in the NFL. You have to be eccentric in what you do. You can't be just lame and do the same vanilla shit, what they were doing, what they were wheeling out there. It becomes a problem. Roberta Campbell, I think DJ's problem is he does see the difference between practice and live games. Cover changes things, injuries, etc. Yeah, DJ's a special animal, man. I don't get him at times. Sometimes he's out in La La Land, and it's kind of puzzling to me, Roberta. Yeah, I agree too, Roberta. Jalen should be RB1, guys. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think Jalen should be RB1. I think he just provides a more versatile weapon for the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the backfield to use in situations to where they aren't so predictable. You can check out of plays a lot easier with Jalen Warren out there than you can with Najee, just because the skill set, the speed is a lot different. At least that's what I see. I see a guy that you could come up, you're under center with that single setback. And you say to yourself, man, I could really exploit this defensive coverage here if I check into a deeper pass play. Now I go empty. I bring a guy like Jalen Warren down into the slot role, and now I'm comfortable with his speed and athleticism to be able to run good, solid routes and be able to do more than just a screen and things of that nature. He's able to do a little bit more than somebody like Najee can do, at least in my opinion, for sure. Oh no, it's all right, Roberta. I got what you meant. Yeah, DJ's just a different beast, guys, for sure. Kevin Lynch, I was watching the highlights from last week and I noticed Mason can see over the line. Yeah, that's true. I always thought the Steelers never gave him a real chance. I don't think he did get a fair shake. After that big injury, that head injury, I think that set Mason back a long time. And I think that really buried him, especially once they brought in Mitchell Trubisky, drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round. I think Mason then just started getting lost in the shuffle, and I don't think he really ever truly got that real chance. That chance to be the guy for an extended period of time, to see what he could do. But maybe that has benefited Mason in the long run, if we all think about it. Maybe that has given him the opportunity to correct some of his deficiencies, and it could only mean positive things for the Steelers if they can hold on to a guy like Mason Rudolph if he continues to play well. That's just all we can hope for sure. Nova says keeping the defense fresh with some long drives is a big help. Absolutely. You have to be able to run the football in Seattle, especially on the road, guys. You have to run the football with consistency, and that's a must. You have to be able to control that time of possession and keep that offense of the other team off the field, because that's your best defense in any game. I mean, truly is. You have to be able to keep that offense at bay, limit their chances, and that's what wins games, especially late in the year. Ball control, having the ability to sustain drives and strike with big splash plays. You have to have that ability, and Mason brought that to this football team to where it was really lacking that. The other teams were able to load up on this Steelers offense, load up down in the box, bring down a ton of guys, really put pressure on Kenny Pickett and force him into bad things, man, and bad checkdowns and bad reads. And yes, he protected the football, but he wasn't doing anything really with the football either. So, I mean, it's double-edged sword, man, for sure. JD, DJ, Pickens, Austin, Muth, Warren, Mason would have a lot of choices. Yeah, you do have a lot of choices. And I think a lot of people are discounting this team a lot. This team fell on a rough patch, and a lot of teams do. Look at the Chiefs right now, losing in Las Vegas. They're losing the teams they shouldn't lose to. Their record isn't much better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of teams that people call elite that have records similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you're seeing them lose to teams that they shouldn't lose to. And yet people just say the Steelers suck, they're worthless, no, they're done, it's trash. I think we are accustomed to winning here, and I think when there's signs of trouble, we jump the gun a little bit, and that's I'm included in that. I do the same, but this is the NFL, and things change week to week, every week, and you see it now with the Steelers. Definitely changing week to week. One week they're a contender, one week they're out. It is what it is. We're just gonna have to see how it shakes out, guys. That's all we can do. Next comment. Excuse me. Nova Racer, all the 3 and outs all season, I believe, is one reason so many players got hurt. Well, I think so on the defense. I think it eventually has taken its toll on that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think the amount of snaps that they were on the field, the constant 3 and outs, the inability to control the clock, the inability to keep them off the field has just totally weighed down this defense and has really, really hurt them. You see guys that just can't stay healthy anymore. Landon Roberts, I feel horrible for that guy. He has played his heart out for this football team. A guy that has done everything that's been asked of him, stays on the field for all the snaps during a football game, does everything that's needed to be a green dot, high level guy. And he really provides a lot to that room, and I hope that he gets back sooner than later. I'm hearing that he could get back for the Ravens game. We'll see. I hope it wasn't a season-ending injury, because you know how those pectoral injuries can be. TJ Watt was a unicorn with the way he came back after a pectoral tear. It don't normally happen, guys. It usually keeps guys out for an extended period of time, and they're usually season-ending type injuries. But I'm hearing that he could be back for the Ravens game. We'll just have to see how this progresses with him over the next week or two. Roberta Campbell, yeah, Nova Racer. Yeah, no wonder the players on D love Mason so much. That's probably true, man. He kept them off the field a great deal. He limited their snaps, limited the amount of work that they had to do, and that's surely a help for them. Roberta Campbell, he has also seems to be running harder. Which one are you talking about, Roberta? It should not have to take that to get him to realize how he should see the holes. Oh, you're talking about Jalen and Najee. Okay, I get it, Roberta. Yeah, I'm not sure. Jalen Warren seems to hit the hole with a lot of force, man. He seems to be like a little wrecking ball, dude. A short little wrecking ball, full of energy. He never takes his helmet off during the game. He's always involved. He's always into the game. You see a lot of guys putting ball hats on and shit, standing on the sideline, cheering or hanging out, talking to their buddy. Guys like Jalen Warren, you see the fire in them, man. They're intrigued with the game. They want to know everything that's going on. They stand there totally focused on the game. And that's what you want from your players, man. You want those guys. They're getting paid big bucks, man. Be focused for 60 damn minutes. Focus on what you need to focus on. There's time to bullshit around after the game, on your free time. You got all the money in the world to do whatever you want to do and have a lot of fun. But when you're on that football field, focus, man. You're an entertainer. Entertain and be focused and do your job. That's just my opinion, for sure. And Najee Harris, I feel like at times tries to dance around too much. Tries to be like a Le'Veon Bell type runner. And he's not that. And he needs to realize his game is more of a power game. He needs to realize, too, I think, that he's more of a role player, a guy that comes in, a closer. I think there is a role for Najee on this football team, but I think Jalen just provides much, much more. It just really sticks out to me over and over every time I turn on the game tape that Jalen Warren is that guy, and I think that he deserves the opportunity to really be featured one game. I think he's done enough to deserve that chance. Yeah, you meant Najee, not Jalen, who wasn't running well. Yeah, no, I get it. Najee runs well. Najee runs with force at times. But like I said, he hops around sometimes and tries to get into being something that he's not. Once he's able to reel himself back in, he's an excellent runner at times. But his game is different. And I'm not saying Najee's a bad player. I'm just saying that Jalen Warren provides a different game. He provides a different element to this offense. And when you're loading an offense up with weapons all over the place, adding a running back that can do it all really opens things up. You can say Jalen can run with power. I think Jalen maybe is a little looser with the football at times than Najee Harris. Najee doesn't fumble as much. I feel like Jalen may at times be a little loose with it, but that maybe comes with just being an exciting, energetic, crazy type player that, you're going to get a fumble here and there. And it's just the way it is. Nova Racer, Najee started running hard when he saw how good Jalen looked. Yeah, I mean, I think that's how that goes across the board in every part of that building. You see the guy come in that's behind you, start to perform well. It's only going to motivate you because you're fighting for your job in the NFL. Running backs' careers are short, and Najee Harris probably realizes that. And he's not been able to cash in with a big payday yet. He hasn't got that second deal. And they look at that stuff and they look, hey, this guy in front of me is performing well. Are the Steelers going to want to bring me back? What's my value on the open market? Are other teams willing to dish over some money for me? Or is the running back market dry? If you're Najee, you got to be thinking of all those things. And a guy like Jalen Warren take your job on the cheap at a literal minimum salary is scary for guys like Najee, I'm sure. And Jalen Warren, I believe, guys, is up after this year also. He was on that undrafted free agent signing type contract to where I think he's going to need a new contract after this year too. So who knows how that running back room could look next year. Let's get to some more comments here. Roberta, exactly how I feel with Najee. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree too, Roberta. No, Nova, Najee also stares at the ground and doesn't see the holes. I don't think he has great vision as a runner either, Nova. I mean, I think he's more of a power type guy. I think he needs to utilize that and not think he's like a Barry Sanders spinning around, dancing around. Hit the damn hole, run downhill, and gain positive yards. Keep the chains moving and be a clock management type guy, a guy that can control the clock for sure. Kevin Lynch, Najee needs to model his game after Derrick Henry. I agree, he does, Kevin, for sure. He's not the size of Derrick Henry. I'm not sure if he's the player Derrick Henry is, but their styles are very, very similar for sure. And I think Najee would be more effective if he modeled himself after that type of downhill running back type style. I mean, simply put, for sure. All right, guys, let's start wrapping the show up. I appreciate everybody that's came in and viewed and commented. And if there's anything else anybody wants to comment about, talk about, put it in the comments. Let me know. Also, like I said, Sean will be back with me next week. I know you get sick of hearing me just talk. And also, guys, I've been working on trying to figure out how to add phone calls for people to be able to call in. If anybody ever has any ideas for how to do that, because without like a free app or something, put it in the comments. I'll find it and because I try to answer them all, and I'll see about doing that because I'd like to do that for you guys to be able to come in and we could hear your voice and have a conversation and not just do it through the chat. I think that would be pretty cool. So let's try to do that if anybody knows of anything. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? We're going to break the Steelers down further. Like I said, we're going to quit trying to talk about that Bengals game and get focused on this Seahawks game, break down their defense and offense on tomorrow's show, and try to march toward the game Sunday. The game is at 4:05, 4:30 it says, no, 4:05 p.m., and that's on the East Coast time. If you're on the West Coast, it'll be different. I don't know what it is, but it'll be way earlier than that. So we'll see how the Steelers team does, guys. And hopefully Mason Rudolph's the guy. And we'll see how this quarterback controversy maybe pans out by the end of the week. We'll see how that goes also. AK Davis, the last comment here, wanting to check in. Are you guys going to continue in the offseason? Absolutely, AK. We are going to keep doing this, man. Breaking down the team, talking about what they need to do. We're going to keep the live shows going the whole 9 yards. And also, I'm going to add a little bit of thanks, Nova Racer. I appreciate it. Yeah, go Raiders and Titans, JD. Yeah, but back to AK's question. Are we going to keep going with the channel? during the offseason, absolutely. And I'm going to try to add some Steelers history. I'm going to pick some teams, some players of the past, and I'm going to make some shows. I'm going to upgrade our editing software, upgrade our ability to be able to make some different content in terms of Steelers history, documenting those teams and talking about those teams, and just reliving some of the past a little bit in the offseason. Also, breaking down guys in the draft, where the Steelers should be looking, free agency. This is an all year long business now. So we're going to stick with it and really hammer it down all offseason. So we appreciate you guys listening, and it's been awesome. And I thank you very, very much. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this Wednesday live show up. My voice is getting to be a little bit raspy now for talking for almost an hour. So, all right, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping through. I'm Jason. It's Mike Drop Sports. Subscribe if you're not. Until next time, peace.